like what you just said. Everybody, we all got like some of what you call it, gangster street, and we all got some of the consciousness in it, especially us that just grew up in. And it's all right if you lean even one way or another, but to knock the other was the issue. Right. Like the fact that we was knocking, and even to not acknowledge, that's where growth come in. Because at one point you get the knowledge and you get conscious, and you're like, oh, I'm all conscious. Right. But then I was able to move back to the middle of who I was, because I was like, man, I could still be about this consciousness, still wearing my kufis, but I'm about to go over here and party with these people over here. Not only that, go party with these. But I'm about to go have a knife fight with John Wick on the subway. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? This is what I wanted to see in the conscious video.
It's hot for trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rapper.
All right, we back. My expert opinion, the greatest show in the
world. Yo, Mac,
I said it.
Mac,
we didn't announce. We do this every single. He didn't announce.
Because that's all what happened.
Hit the like, hit the share, let everybody know you in here. Don't cost you no paper unless you's a mother
hater.
And don't be one of those.
That sounds right.
Hit the button. It's free, man. It's free. Mac, what's good?
Salute, King. Shout out to Amir Ali. I see you doing your thing. Killed it at the Roots picnic, and now you dropped that hot ass single. Keep going, boy. I'm looking right at you.
Shout out to my man Ness, who was up there rocking. I always comment on his posts. I tell people like, yo, this guy's amazing, and I'm happy to see, you know, your doors are opening for you. So shout out to Ness.
He want to pull up too.
Philly. Yeah.
Ness want to pull up. Shout out to Ness, the whole Philly.
He definitely ducked the bullet because we were supposed to battle a couple years ago. So
and now this is happening.
It is what it is.
Spun back around to this.
Shout out to the gang. Now, look. You can't be on the phones either. You got to make this. It's important. It's important. You know, we got to media train the guests and all that.
Wow.
Shout out to my man Ro too for the big Brooklyn tees.
Yo,
big Brooklyn.
Mac, since this is an episode, I'm sure you've been dying to have.
I need you to stop. I need you to stop.
I need you to just
roll out. Because I have dreads, I'm the backpack dude in the room.
Roll it out.
But you know what? No problem. No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, misters, sisters, and blisters, we have two of the finest in the culture to sit down and ever do it. I said that. It's the truth. You can don't argue with me, argue with your mama. Chi-Town's finest. And one of the original cornerstones of this beat making shit, Godfather of the remix and all that finest, we have none other than the Chocolate Boy Wonda himself, Pete Rock, and the Chi-Town legend, hip hop god known as Common. Make some noise. Could have went further, but off the top.
Man, I get it. He asked me, did I have I ain't got no nickname. He's like, you ain't got no nickname like Chocolate Boy Wonda. I got to come up with something, man. But I got to.
We could be the White Chocolate Boy.
Hey, White Chocolate was cold. Y'all remember White Chocolate? Yes, sir. Yo, he was cold on the court. Facts. Yo. Jason Williams was cold.
Now, we was having this conversation before these cameras started rolling. Not yesterday. It's past weekend. Summer Jam went down. Hot 97 Summer Jam. I'm sure all of y'all are familiar. If you're not, it's one of the biggest concerts that happens throughout the summer out here in New York. Method Man and Redman perform. The dynamic
as a part
duo.
of a Mr. C tribute.
Yes.
Right.
And you know, these guys are legends. They put on a show every time I've seen them. The energy has been electric. They rock the crowd.
Facts.
For some reason, during this performance, Meth and Red, they weren't satisfied with the reception from the crowd. And Meth put out a statement saying, I will never do Summer Jam again. The age gap has become too great, too wide.
Way too big.
Ageism in hip hop. We here now. Now that we got two legends here. How do y'all feel about this?
Man, I feel like when I first was just listening to music, I never thought about anybody's age. Like for me, I was listening to KRS-One, like I didn't know how old he was. I listened to Michael Jackson. I listened, you know, to the Commodores and Shaka Khan. I wasn't thinking like, man, they older or younger. I just appreciated the music. But I think, you know, that some of, you know, each generation is you're going to have your own thing for you. Sure, like, meaning, like, I understand, like, hip-hop was that for us. You know, I know if initially, you know, a lot of older people was like, man, this ain't even music, but then they eventually respected it as music. Right. So you get that from different generations sometimes, but I think that the connection come in communication, understanding that like, yo, these younger people, they doing their thing. Yo, these people that have come through the business and come through the music, they got these experiences and we respect that and honor that. The places I don't see ageism a lot is when I see young artists that actually study the music. Right. Like they like still young, giving you that fresh, whatever they give young freshness, but they still might go sample Slum Village and you like, damn, you know Slum Village. You know, like, you know, and they'll reference, you know, Pete Rock or they'll reference Rakim or something. And I'm like, that's what let me know you studied the art form. Like you respect, you respect the art. And to me, that's the biggest gap. If you don't know like the roots of something, it's hard to have a standard. Right. That's at a certain level.
Right. Well, I think I made a comment to Keyz tonight. And I know Keyz a streamer. I watch his show. I enjoy the shit. Like some of y'all kind of came down on me like, yo, he's just a streamer. But when he reacted to Killer Mike winning the award, he was like, who the hell is that? And I felt like that was disrespectful. Like, yo, that's Killer Mike. How could you be saying that? And you up here premiering other people's albums and you don't know who Killer Mike is. Yeah. So I think at some point there was a disconnect. Yeah. Do you guys know when that happened? Can you pinpoint for you when you stopped checking for the newer artists?
I don't remember what year it was, but I remember hearing about a meeting that was being had in the music business.
Oh, that's way back.
And
way
how
back.
They were gonna, you know, control every aspect of the game, and how they were bringing in new young artists to, you know, and actually kind of telling them what to do and what they want and how they want it, instead of letting the artists be free.
Hold on. Is this conspiracy alert?
Doesn't have to be a conspiracy.
It don't have to be, but I would say that young people are easily manipulated at times. But for me, when I was young, it goes back to when I was young, you know, I was easily manipulated by music. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what drove me my whole life since I was a kid. So I'm thinking about now and then and comparing the two, and I'm like, you know, it's a big difference from when people really like things and when people just say they like things. So it's like a uneven balance, you know what I'm saying? But, you know.
Who was this meeting between?
Huh?
Who was this meeting
the young
between?
and the old, young and the vets, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like people who's been doing it and people who's just starting to do it.
Oh, that's not the meeting I thought you was talking about.
No, I'm not even talking about the meeting no more. I'm just saying, okay, I just mentioned that because, you know, this is what's.
But I think
Bone Thugs and them mentioned it.
Yeah, I think if you're asking when the ageism gap started, I think the first schism comes from that meeting, and the goal of the meeting was to influence the youth to commit more crimes, to pack up the prisons.
We're talking about the gangster rap.
Right.
Prison.
And if you look back at it, the original schism in hip hop, especially generational, it didn't start off as a generational thing. It started off as a culture thing.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden it wasn't cool to be black, educated, pro-black, educated, for black people, educated, et cetera, et cetera. And it became more popular to be a criminal, crime, street shit. So you look at NWA and put him next to Public Enemy.
Right.
Two totally different.
That was going on in the 90s.
Right.
A lot of
and that's where we were.
Like that.
But then all of a sudden you started to see an influx of one and way less of the other. So you don't hear so much Poor Righteous Teachers anymore, but you hear Tim Dog. You don't hear X Clan like you did, but here's Ice Cube records, and not nothing against any of those folk, but all of a sudden it wasn't cool to be smart, pro-black, etc., etc., etc. Kind of led to the.
To me, it was an unfair balance.
I wouldn't say it wasn't cool.
No, it definitely was not as sexy. One was promoted and pushed as being way more sexy than the other.
But when you got like, okay, the Fuji still going diamond.
Yeah.
You know, Lauren still going diamond.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing the trend of
more of those.
Exactly.
That's
Label
my point.
saying, okay, this is now a genre. Let's sign some more people to sound like this and push them out.
Yeah.
But we still saw Common was still rocking.
But that's what leads to the conspiracy theory, because if it was all about numbers, and Lauryn Hill sells all these records and Outkast sells all these records, how come we don't have more of those? If it was about money, if it was really about, oh, look what sold, let's get them more of that stuff.
Because
they like
the conscious stuff we was talking was real life things. You know, even though you had real dudes in the 90s that did street shit, but then you had people talking conscious and positive. Like you mentioned, X Clan, Rest Development, all them dudes, like
Public
Enemy,
Good
Tried, Us, you know, Common, De La, you know, we rapped about fun things that happened in our lives, man, how we grew up. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's you know, it's an unfair fight, man, when you add in that type of negativity in something that's positive like music.
But I do think we too got to take some responsibility. Like it's for me as a dude that came from the 90s, when I stopped like really being in tune with the music, then I stopped paying attention as much. And that means I ain't giving the youngins the wisdom. I ain't sitting down taking time. If you start ignoring them, it's like the streets, like it happened in Chicago. I know it's probably happening in cities all over. The youngins started like just wilding out because they ain't have no dudes sitting down saying, hey man, that's out of pocket, that's out of order.
Right.
And I think, you know, it's the approach sometimes with younger generations that is, because if I'm a older dude, like, man, that music y'all making ain't nothing, blah, 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 then of course they're gonna be like, man, fuck you, man. I ain't, you know, like, so it created division. But if it's like, yo, let me show you some of this, let me show you some, you know, like, then it's exchanged. And then listen, at the end of the day, some stuff just wasn't quality. Like some people that got into the music business, man, might not have just been as talented, man. Let's just face it. Like it was a talent when you hear Grand Poobah, you hear Big Daddy Kane, when you hear Ice Cube, when you heard Pharcyde, I don't care, Too Short. It's a talent and a passion. You hear Pete Rock and CL, like you hear talent, and you know, like at a certain point you could just, man. When I started hearing, I mean, I don't know what year this was, but when niggas started telling me, man, I got a record out, I just started rapping like 2 months ago. Like, no, for real though, for real.
But it was happening.
I'm like, it ain't no other profession that you can go into. You can't make it to the league just starting to hoop 2 months. You can't be a doctor, you can't be a policeman.
Right.
You can't be an accountant. There's nothing you can mention where 2 months is enough.
2 months ain't enough time.
And that's seriously some I heard artists that was, and that's what, for me, that's when I started realizing like, man, well, honestly, earlier than that, because when you start talking about it's losing its consciousness, that's why I wrote I Used to Love Her. It wasn't like I was like, which is about hip hop, is, you know, the progression of it. But anyway, it wasn't about, I liked NWA and I liked PE. Right, but it was just about like, nah, we can't make this all gangster, or we can't make this all one thing. It's like, we as the hip hop community, which really represent Black and Latino people really more, and then eventually the other nationalities, white, all of them part of it. It's all good now. But ultimately, we not one thing. Right. You know, we ain't just
not a monolith.
We're not monoliths. Right. So I think when it started becoming more leaning towards, you said it, the numbers and stuff, you know, and it's like, that was what was glorified, because before it was like, yo, who got the dopest rhyme?
Who's the best?
Who got that, like, and
it was about the talent,
music,
creativity.
Yeah.
So when we talk the numbers game, shout out to Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying? He definitely put a lot of the business into his braggadocious kind of style. He was like, look, I'm doing these numbers.
Right.
You know, he said one of his rhymes was, truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense.
Yeah.
But I sold like 5 million and I ain't been rhyming like common sense.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you heard that bar?
Dude, I was geeked, man. Cause I was geeked, because you know, like it's just point blank. It's niggas that some niggas that didn't listen to me just because Jay-Z even referenced me was like, wait, he said he want to rhyme like common sense. Let me even pay attention to that. So and just you know, when Jay said a lot of stuff, it mattered, man. It does matter.
Yeah.
So it was like, though he was, you know, playing on his words and part of it was like, yo, I ain't rhyming like that no more. It still was saying, I really would like to rhyme like that if I was, you know, if I was, you know, could do what I'm supposed to do financially.
Right.
Which he ultimately does rhyme like to me, he an MC. Like he might have talked about numbers and talked about, but he's an MC. He can go, like MCs can go anywhere, you know this.
Right.
And you can rock wherever you at. Like you can go say a rap with no beat and it's gonna resonate with people. You're gonna say some lines. Jay-Z is one of the greatest MCs. Like so I think you know, when he said it, I was like, hell yeah. That's
So you didn't take it as a shot?
No, I didn't take it as a shot, man. I mean, a shot to me gotta be something directed towards my person. Like
Ice Cube.
Like Ice Cube. Like Cube.
Everybody want to see a rap fight and shit.
Yeah, you know, but you gotta be saying something to me that's like almost disrespecting my manhood in a way. Right. Or because if you say I'm whack, I'm like, nah.
So what
like,
was
you know, like,
and everybody know I'm not.
Yeah,
so, right.
You know,
what's the point of that?
Yeah,
right.
What was the Drake line that got you to jump off the porch and?
The Drake line was more like subliminals, and I was more like, is this to me or is it not? Mm-hmm. And you know, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm about to find out if it's to me. You know? and I'm just gonna go at them and just see what it is, because I wasn't raised before rap. I wasn't raised to be like, yo, you know, smack somebody and go run.
Throw stones and hide your hands.
Like I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna fight you. Like I'm even if I think I'm gonna lose, I'm about to fight you. Mm-hmm. You know, just because if I'm at you, I'm at you, and I'm gonna let you know it's coming to you. Right. So I was like, man, it's a lot of subliminal. I don't know what, you know, it's gotta. You know,
it sounds like you're talking.
Right.
For those that don't know, what was the line? What was the stuff?
He had a line where he said he was one of Chi-Town's gods or Chi-Town Nas.
Yeah.
And then on a Drake line, Stay Scheming, he said it's funny when the gods get to talking like they broads.
Come on, man, you giving like not many people knew that was the line. That's the exact line that made me.
I saw it when it happened. I was just wondering what you was going to do with that.
But then, hold on. Stay Scheming wasn't that
Rick
after
Ross.
your response?
No, hell no. No, his response came after Stay Scheming.
Yeah. Cause I actually rhymed on. I put a verse on Stay Scheming remix.
On the
that
beat,
was my real response. People thought this one song I did called Sweet that No ID produced was like a Drake diss, but I was just like talking about niggas that was sweet on that joint. It wasn't like and
that was with the Canada Drive.
No, Canada Drive was the Stay Scheming ball.
Came on the Stay Scheming. I ain't go at Drake until it was when he said that on Stay Scheming. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, in raps, sometimes I would write raps and be saying, oh, you soft with it. You might see somebody that you like, oh, this nigga soft. Right. but you ain't like saying it to him. You just like use that example. Come on, we know like, that's how some of the stuff, like when you heard cats throwing lines back and forth, that's just part of like the inspiration in rap, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I talked about things where, you know, there's a lot of popular people I talked about in my raps that just was like a prototype. It wasn't like specifically about them.
Right.
So anyway.
But it can be confused easily.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to say, you know, Jay-Z, he made that line. Yeah. How did you feel when he made 444? Did you be like, you double back?
I think that was one of his best albums to me. I mean,
I agree.
Like
I agree.
And it's one of the, like, for me, like one of the albums that in the most recent times that I was like, man, this is a classic album.
Legacy.
No, that's and like No ID and him did it. Like No ID blessed them beats.
Job.
Yeah. Shout out to No ID. Shout out to
No ID. And then Jay, man, like he showed that, to me, he showed that evolution. Like that's what I be looking for in rap too sometimes. Like, man, we grow up, man. We grown men now. We got new perspectives.
Get to this level. Can we talk about the things that we doing now? Stop talking about what we did when we was teenagers.
Right.
We can,
even though it was classic historical shit.
Facts. But we can if we get rid of ageism.
Yeah.
If we get that out the paint, then we allow the art form to grow. And we're the only ones who get pigeonholed like that, where they expect you to stay a kid your entire career. And the second you start rapping about something that's not, Andre 3000 has told the entire world that he doesn't want to rap because he feels like kids can't relate to what he's saying. What I'm gonna rap about? Needing glasses, getting a colonoscopy. Meanwhile, yes, nigga, yes. We want to hear you. Yes, you. Whatever you come up with is gonna be Andre 3000 sprinkled. It's gonna be fire. Yeah. You just have to be the one to do it. Stop. Your age has nothing to do with your talent.
It's your how that'll come across.
Right. I mean, for him, I think Lil Wayne responded to that, and he was like, I couldn't understand that because I got so much things to talk about now. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's broader. But do you feel like there's a time, there's a little space in your childhood where music means a lot more than in the rest of your life?
Man, that's a really good point.
Besides immediate family, music is like second to immediate family.
No, because usually when I ask people like, what's your favorite album or what was your favorite era?
What you brought up is super important, man, because like so many times we argue or discuss, argue, whatever, about top rappers, but a lot of my top rappers gonna come from the era that meant the most to me. Right. And it just meant the most because I was a young dude taking it all in. I didn't have all these other things to do in life. Hip hop was like the thing. I could do hip hop and like just go to school and do hip hop. And now it's like I don't digest some of the music I don't digest like especially a lot of the music like the same way because I'm in a different place. So it might not strike me the way KRS did when he was talking about. I didn't know what a vegetarian was when KRS was talking about not eating no goat or ham. I'm from Chicago, like we eating barbecue, we eating everything. Like, chicken, like, he said no goat or ham or chicken or turkey.
Harold's is in Chicago.
Harold's is in Chicago. Gotta stop playing games. That just wasn't part of our lifestyle. And my point is, I was like a sponge soaking it up. So certain, like when I'm naming my top MCs, it's going to end up being KRS and Rakim and Nas and Biggie and like Andre is up there for me. But my point is, when people name their top hooper, they like, a lot of the youngins gonna say LeBron is the greatest to them. Then people in our age group might be like, yo,
they're not from
MJ.
They're not, so they ain't gonna understand our era. It's when we won. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like
that's for casuals. I think that you just mark yourself as and no disrespect,
right?
But I think you mark yourself as a casual. I think if you're involved, then you do the research and you look.
I think some of them
I can't agree with you on that. Because if I ask you your top 5 right now, bro, it's gonna be from that era.
My era had a different criteria. Like we just explained, you had to be nice at a certain time, and not to mention, I also go back before my era because my criteria involves influence, and my criteria first and foremost is bars. So one of the first.
So I'm on your list. That's what's up.
Who would you say before your era would you put like is like some of the top?
Technically, Rakim is before me.
Yeah.
Right.
Rakim, Kool G Rap, Kane. My era is Nas, Biggie, etc. Kool G Rap, Kane. I look at Rakim as the turning of the guard. He's on my list, but he's before my time.
Right.
But I looked him up. I had older brothers in the house. I saw what he was doing. So, oh my God.
Yeah.
I hear this dude from Rakim. I hear this dude. I hear this dude. I hear this. Right. You think what I mean?
But it is new. It is new cats that like translate to me. Like when I look at Kendrick Lamar, I'm like, this dude Kendrick is like in
Any
any
era.
generation, in any era,
Agreed.
he's one of the greats.
Agreed.
J. Cole, people love and be like, yo, J. Cole is one of like the greats in any era.
Agreed.
Like, so it's, to me, like one thing I remember, man, when I first started getting into rap, when I was putting, not really first, when I was putting out my records and stuff, my mother started watching. She wasn't paying attention to hip hop till I started doing it and shit. So then she was watching BET Rap City, and she came to me, and this was like mid to late 90s, and she was like, man, this dude, she didn't say his name right, but nah, she was like, this dude is good. And then she said Rakim, and I was like, damn, she done watched all these videos and she picked out the rock dope. And I was like, it hit me that the quality can translate to any era. Like, oh, it's elder people that can listen to Pete Rock music and be like, yo, this is classic music.
Right.
And I think it's young people creating music that, if it's got that soul and got that love we talking about in the criteria, we gonna be like, yo, this shit is amazing.
It's crazy.
But I do agree with what you're saying. Some stuff, the way we grew up, or depending on the time in your life, it's gonna hit you. Like I still be listening to Black Moon and Brand Nubians and Tribe, and like,
shout out to
that
Buck.
shit, let's go. Shout out to Buck, man.
It just takes you back
It takes
to
me
a
to
certain
a
moment that feels like there's a euphoria you get from it. Like,
it ain't nothing the matter with that.
right.
Absolutely
At all.
So you think once you become an adult, there's no way you can have a favorite album?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Why not?
Yeah.
Mine is paid in full.
You were an adult when that dropped?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that's, I mean.
You're saying a favorite album, meaning like created during this time.
Right.
Oh, this time right
Yeah.
now.
I mean, I thought Damn was
Damn
right.
I like
Damn
his
right.
first
The
album,
Pimp a
Kendrick's
Butterfly.
very first
Yo, that was dope too.
mixtape joint.
Section 80.
Yeah.
No, what was the one after that?
The one after
Good
Section
Kid,
80?
Mad
The
City.
one with
Good Kid, Mad City?
Good City. Yeah, that one.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That one.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
some stuff
played
that
that
can come
one,
out
like,
like
Let-
that. It's just got to be at that level of quality that
It's
we
the
like.
quality. It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with age. It's all quality. Once you get
Boom.
used to quality, you
Boom.
don't go backwards. No one does. No one does. If I'm eating at Tavern on the Green, you can't convince me to go to McDonald's no more.
Yeah,
Like, it's cool, but when I
Right.
was a kid, McDonald's was a reward for doing your homework.
Yeah.
So we're connecting this to an era of quality.
We're connecting this to an era where quality was first and foremost. It wasn't sales, it wasn't clout, it wasn't hype. It was, is it good? The gatekeepers would not let you in the door.
Right.
Common could come from Chicago to New York, the birthplace of hip hop, and niggas would go, he's dope.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't care where he was from. Nobody asked him where he was. Everybody thought he was from New York. A lot of people thought he was from here because he's dope. Souls of Mischief, when they first dropped, and they dropped That's When You Lost, and they had all these bars and shit.
Definitely thought they was from there.
Everybody thought. And
I was like, where they in Nyack? Like, where this video was shot at? Like,
Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean,
Everybody thought they was from Brooklyn.
But that
That's
just
a
goes to
fact.
show what quality. Like, I mean, when you think about quality, I be thinking about this because I be going to see plays and shit like that. I do, and I be like, man, this play was written 200 years ago, and I'm watching this shit like, and it's still resonating. And like, I listen to jazz records. Just think some of the records like that Pete sampled, the No ID, the Yay, you know, Jay Dilla, all these great producers sampled them. Some of them records come from the 50s, 60s, from different countries, but the quality is at the level where it's gonna translate. And some of the like stuff that like, that's why hip hop's so incredible, is we using some of those records that I wouldn't have been up on jazz the way I am if it wasn't for Pete and Tribe Called Quest and Premier. So we actually carrying some of the most quality work to the new generations. And that's why I do miss sampling sometimes. I mean, I know people do it some, but I did
people still
that
do it.
era.
Yeah.
But I love, that's why I love, I don't say I miss it, I love when I hear samples and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a nostalgic feeling.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a cheat code.
Yeah.
Kind of a cheat code.
Well, it's about quality, like everyone is saying, but it's really, I always took the creative part seriously. Like, because anything that had to be done, I wanted to make sure it sounded really, really, really good. And so I put my all in that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because that will bring traffic and attention to what you're doing. You know what I mean?
You have classic records though. Like you're the kind of person to ask about that. You have records that have spanned 10, 15 plus years that ring off no matter where you play them and no matter who's listening to them. Like you have one of my mom's favorite rap records of all time, and it's not Reminisce.
Wow.
It's Like That on the T-Rock. Every time it comes on, she stops everything.
Wow, I like that song too. Actually,
from as soon as the drum goes, as soon as the horns come in,
aggressive joint,
she loses it.
Yeah,
and that's my mom. That's my mom.
That's the first album, first debut album.
Yeah, shows you what I was playing around the house, but I didn't appreciate Earth, Wind and Fire or Stevie Wonder until I hit like my mid-20s.
Yeah.
Up until then, it was, yo, why you always playing it?
Yeah.
You grow up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, facts.
Your ears mature.
Became a huge Lionel Richie fan.
Hopefully
because of Sundays cleaning up with mom. Right? After all, I'm like, yo, Lionel got mad hits.
Man, that dude was a great
big
song.
ass mustache. He's stalking the blind girl, but it was a hit. It was a hit.
Yeah.
All right, so at some point, hip hop kind of veered off. Guys like yourself, you made the record. I used to love it. Kind of describing the state of hip hop. That was, so some people took that as a diss. Like, what you mean? She hanging with Gangsta? What's wrong with that? You know what I mean? Like we all get to shine at some point. Is there a thing where the duality of hip hop? There's some people who choose this side, some people choose this side. And it's just going to be a back and forth, constant.
Man, I think that was one of the things that actually, man, kind of hurt the culture in certain ways, hurt hip hop. Was that we were like, man, you got to be gangster, or you got to, like, we started getting categorized,
right?
And man, because I really loved NWA, and I loved like King T and Compton's Most Wanted, and I really loved Alcoholics. I really loved, and I really loved it. Like I said, the New York shit, and then Outkast and Goody Mob. So I think when they started being like, okay, man, this is gangster rap, and that's all you can do, or making it like, okay, just because you did one song or even a project that got gangster, that's now that you labeled as gangster. Because I point blank was labeled just as a conscious nigga at a certain point. Like, yo, you're just conscious.
But you didn't start like that.
Right, I didn't start like that. And then, as I evolved, but I was like, man, okay, as a conscious artist, I still like to make these songs. I make these songs. Like, that's a lot to me. It's like, I'm a black man. I'm a whole human being. Right. And I got lots of
Did you feel like parts? Did you feel like you was pushed in the brown leather gang?
I mean, I feel like I created that too, like to a certain degree. But what I wanted to bring up was, it was tough to see us separating ourselves. Like once it was like, okay, well, Common, Mos Def, they in the backpack group. And then it's Jay-Z and and these cats, 50 and DMX, they in the big name rappers is
street
this
shit.
group like street, and it was almost like we couldn't party together, we couldn't kick it together.
Right.
But that wasn't how we personally felt. But that's how the music came out. And at certain points, I feel like we fell into it too. Like, oh, them niggas over there don't like us, or they might have been like, them niggas think they better than us. And I don't know exactly what that was, but I will say a turning point in that for me was when I went to SOBs and saw Kanye performing. It was when his first album.
Right.
And his album wasn't out yet. And I was like, it was people there with backpacks and they had the rock chains and they was throwing up Rockefeller. And I was like, yo, this is the merging. This is what we missed. Cause growing up for me, I knew niggas that was dope dealers that was listening to De La Soul. You know what I'm saying? They was listening to Tribe. Like some of the street niggas was listening to that too, as well as you could be as preppy as you want, listening to
shit.
Listen to Mobb Deep. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we wasn't separating ourselves. Once we start getting boxed in that category, and that, you know, that's when, you know, the Willie Lynch letter talk about it, like, you know, about let's separate this East, separate them. Let's separate them. The East, let's make them all go over light skin, dark skin, East, you know, East West wasn't there yet, but Willie Lynch was talking about
it's an evolution of the same thing.
Yeah. So I think those boxes made us fall into some of that type of behavior. Like, nah, we ain't. Until we got around each other and was like, man, we all are the same elk. We love this shit.
But I gotta say, man, the conscious dudes was throwing stones, man. Y'all was like, get out of here with that. Y'all making club records over there. We not doing that, man.
You know what it is? When you're used to one way of music and one way of music making you feel good, then you hear some music that don't make you feel good, and that's what we fighting with. And that's why we started complaining for some of us, not everybody, but some of us. And that's what it was for us. The feeling of hip hop, or how we had it, and then how it is.
Right, how it was changing.
Yes.
But I have a, what is conscious, right? When you think about it, I just pose a question here. If I'm conscious of what I'm saying, I'm conscious. Right. You don't think a rock and roll motherfucker know what they're saying, that they talk about devil, devil, kill, kill? They're conscious of what they're saying. So I think once we fell into the label of what consciousness was, if you know what you're saying, you conscious.
I think it was more about the result.
I get what you're saying, but but that's also a manufactured definition in the way the word conscious functions versus what it really means. Right.
But when I say the conscious guys was the ones throwing stones.
I understand the sentiment of that. You're speaking about a certain time frame, a snapshot in hip hop. But if you really think about the overarching function of the word conscious, it does not mean what we have ever really used.
No, I don't
I'm not
agree
saying
to
you.
the
I'm
description.
not saying what you. Yeah.
I don't agree to
general,
that description, because I feel like the street dudes that was telling their stories,
they
was conscious of what they were saying too.
Right, facts.
You know what I mean? There's some people who kind of give you both sides of what happens in the streets. And you respect that.
Right.
But I have to agree with you and say that, and acknowledge that at one point, like the conscious artists, including myself, it was a certain self-righteousness that we were living in, and it was, and part of it was just a young dude growing up. When you get a little knowledge, you like, you know, I know something.
He's still eating pork. He's still eating pork. We gonna drop bombs on this nigga right now.
It's him and his veins.
And part of it,
him and his
part of it was definitely that. But part, you know, that was just the human side of it too. Of just like being young and feeling like you get knowledge and being like, yo, I ain't trying to live that life no more. And then, as Pete said, some of it was just, man, I wasn't getting, you know, you don't get the feeling in the music too. But it was some street music that was super dope. Like Mobb Deep still to this day is one of my favorite. The Infamous album is one of the best albums. And people that you said got the balance was like the Nas's, who was able to give you the street, but he had a consciousness to him. Now he hit that balance. That's what Rakim was too. But the point is I will acknowledge that it was a moment where, even if you looked at some of our videos, it was taking shots at the money makers in hip hop. Right. But I think
why was it?
I think that was because we felt like, hey, y'all know y'all love this culture, and don't make this all about money. Cause if so, people gonna start following, and they gonna lose what the true essence of this is.
And we're here now.
Thank you, bro.
And that happened.
Yeah, we're here now.
And that definitely happened.
This is the result of not the byproduct.
Now.
Yeah, now we're here to the point where money is more important than talent.
And
way
it
more.
wasn't like that. That's not how I got on. That's not how he got on. We got on because we had something for real. And you know,
we're not at that point.
And come on, man, we all from hoods, wherever. We from the, if I'm on TV waving money, and I'm watching you from, you know, 35th and Low in Chicago, like, I'm gonna be like, damn, I want that. Like, I'm sitting here dealing with the struggle in another way. My mother trying to work these jobs. You know, we know the situations we come from. So then you see that, we like, I want to be that. And to me, that's not all of who we were. And it just was, it wasn't depicting like what we needed to be as a people and as a culture too. Right. Like, because if we put the money first, even certain billionaires would tell you that they didn't pursue that money was their first thing. Right. They found something that they loved, or something that an idea that they came up with, and they pursued it with passion, and it became a billionaire business.
But can you knock the people who figured out a cheat code to bypass the lyricism? Like, no offense, let's say like a Birdman. Right. Like, we know nobody's like in a rush to hear a Killer Birdman 16, but
these young,
but he still made records that people could vibe to.
Man,
when you build a fan base already, like with that kind of rap, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be kids that like the shit. You know what I'm saying? Then you have another fan base where now, you know, they like a certain street rap. Then they like a certain conscious rap. So it's like you gotta pick your poison, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been mad if Common would have fanned out a couple of hundreds in the video. We getting money over here too.
But you would have been looking like, he being fake as hell.
No, because I remember when you was in a hoodie, hopping out of Jeeps. You know what I'm saying? I remember that guy too. You know what I mean?
He wasn't robbing people when he jumped out the Jeep though. Like,
and I ain't knocking. Look, we didn't grow up. I've been gangbanging point blank, so it ain't like I'm knocking that. Like, it's just that ain't the thing that I'm gonna try to put out. Like what Amir was saying about like conscious, I was just conscious about like, man, what I want to put out to the people. And it wasn't always like, I gotta be perfect. I'm not perfect, and I wasn't like, man, it's always gotta be, we gotta rap about uplifting the people. That's my spirit. I want to rap about that too, but some of it's just having fun. Some of it talking on a song like Go, I'm talking about having a threesome. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm gonna give you all the aspects, and I feel like what we owed was to be true to who we are, and true to, if we are conscious of something, then don't just go out there putting out money stuff and like you shooting if that ain't what you doing no more. Like, you know, or if you talked about it from the past and you know, like, man, I'm about to lead a nation of people to believing that this is the only way for us to really make it, then, man, eventually you're poisoned.
How influenced are we out here today? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's right.
Very. So, but I don't think we're any more or less influenceable, if that's a word, than we were in the past. I think it's all the same. When it looks sexy, that's the part that you go for. And if you can have a Birdman who can get on with all the money and all the fame and all the women, and he doesn't have to rhyme like Common, he doesn't have to have beats like Pete, the cheat code. Right. If we can do that, there are plenty of people who will skip and open that door and skip the line. Right. However,
because it's a faster way of doing things.
The culture suffers. Right. The culture suffers. Ultimately, the culture suffers.
A backlash to it.
You got on and you got your bread and everything's cool with you, but look at everything else. People don't think. I have artists and little dudes I work with who come to me and say, Deadass told me I don't like my rap with too many words. These niggas be wanting you to think. Like, bro, did you just tell me you don't like thinking?
I mean, I saw an interview with Uzi Vert where he was like, yo, I ain't rapping to that old school shit. You know, give me something new.
Like a little bop or something.
My thing
he said I'm a rock star.
I'm a rock star. I'm not a rapper, I'm a rock star. On that Gangsta, Mass Appeal instrumental. You know what I'm saying?
Remember when I said
Uzi raps too? So I don't even know why he said that.
Yeah, he rap. He
definitely jumped.
Because he wanted to go a different way.
Why not though?
He wanted to go because he wanted to go a different way. Yeah. And what he was promoting at the time was not that. He wanted to go a different way. My problem with the Birdmans of the world is not that they do what they do. It's that they felt the need to insult other people in order to do it. You backpack niggas is broke. That was a big thing, which is why a lot of dudes started taking shots back at them. We broke, y'all corny. Like,
I didn't start nothing. I just they started with me, and I just replied.
Pete, your IG might say otherwise.
No, they be twisting it up, man. Look, man, they started popping shit.
Is stuff like that good for business?
If it's not taken personally,
If it's not taken personally.
I mean, I think that, like, I'm conflicted in the area of if somebody is not like passionate about the art form and they making records, I'm conflicted only in the way because I want to see somebody make a living and get their family, to a better place. But then it's a art form, so I kind of like got a sacredness to it that I feel is like this is God's gift to us that we can express ourselves in this way, and it's like holding something that's precious. You gotta like care for it, and I think good for business ain't always good for the soul, and it ain't always like good for your life and your evolution. So a battle, cool. You come from
of course.
Battle world.
Battle, boom. It's all good. But if it's coming from like, I mean, after that, if some get into, like some type of like people getting shot and dying,
we don't want
we
that.
ain't never want none of that. Like nobody wanted that, man. We ain't not one artist that got into in music wanted that for their lives.
Right.
Not one person. It was like,
even if they said it on a record, they didn't really want to die.
Nah, there was a time period where that was the thing.
What people
Definitely
were talking about.
in New York, when people had beef, you had to expect.
Oh,
if you run into these people,
no doubt,
it's gonna get sticky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
usually at shows,
But you still
Hot
didn't start
97
rapping
was a nickname.
backstage.
Shot 97 for no reason.
right?
You know what I mean?
If it has to go that far, then nobody should be rapping.
And
Which
even then,
leads-
it wasn't the rappers shooting. It was an entourage was shooting.
Yeah.
The street niggas they
Yeah,
had
the
with them
ones
shooting.
on the side.
Right, who felt like this was their way to get in front of the line, to get the favors from the big guy. Like this.
Man.
Is there a shift in the culture when we see these huge battles like Nas and Jay-Z, Kendrick and Drake? Do you guys expect a shift depending on who's the winner?
The shift of the whole game, you mean?
Yes.
I mean, a shift in a positive way to where, people were realizing what battle rap is, and it's not too, because you see some dudes rapping and they get personal and be getting in your face and be spitting and all of that and saying some real like hard stuff. But if they could realize what battle rap is, like the definition of it, I think it's good for hip hop.
Right.
I think that that it does, like what we seen with Kendrick and Drake is people start taking sides. But ultimately for the overall sport and for hip hop itself, I thought it was really beneficial. Like, because for me, I had young dudes sending me, like some of my youngins sending me a Drake song and a Kendrick song, and I had dudes my age sending me every time one would come out. And I was like, man, this might have been the first time I had these different generations like tuned in. Right. So it was like, we all could enjoy it. And it was really high level battles. Some battles, they might galvanize, Kendrick galvanized the West Coast plus some. And Drake galvanized his fans and was like, and galvanized a lot of people to be like, damn, Drake going at him too. Like, so I think it was healthy more than anything. And the great thing is like, man, it didn't turn into nothing else. I remember when Minister Farrakhan sat us down, me and Cube down, and we was at there with Fat Joe and Goody Mob and them. He was like, man, y'all ain't get into this to die. You got in to live, right? So, like, let's leave it there. And I mean, that always resonated with me because I was a young dude, just like, like you said, sometimes it's like whatever gonna happen.
Right.
Like, and not that I was
because you was still doing shows in LA. Like, we here.
Yeah. So, not that I was like,
I'm just saying, like,
put it in the blender every time.
The conscience that I grew up on was a soul.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, what the fuck I look like this in the whole coast?
Yeah.
You ain't made shit dope sense. You know what I mean? Like, nowadays, you wouldn't imagine a conscious dude responding to somebody in gangster rap like that.
Yeah.
But I grew up with, we conscious. We gonna fuck you up.
It's a hidden little G in the anatomy. You feel what I'm saying? It's like a hidden little gangster. He had that joint.
If you
would have seen him that day when he heard about the whole thing, it was crazy.
Shit. Right.
But listen,
am I bringing up something?
No, it's all love. And let me tell you, the West Coast don't play. I knew that.
Yeah,
so I was like aware, but I just was, when you're young and you feeling like, you're just young and like think like, man, you don't value life as much as conscious as I was, I still, it had got to my ego, all the stuff they were saying. So I was like, yo, and I came and I, came back and anyway, I'm so glad it ended up being peace. Q my guy now. It's all love. I'm glad that we can live and talk about that. Done movies together and barbershop and doing all type of. But what I was gonna say about consciousness too is like, man, the consciousness I grew up was like Fred Hampton, like Fred Hampton and some of the Panthers. That's what and Malcolm X. That's consciousness too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Bob Marley. So even Amir, when you were saying that too, I was like, that's what I'm talking about, because at a certain point, first I was like, man, why y'all give me that conscience? I still like hanging out with women. I'm just kicking it, don't try to give me. I want to drink. Come on, man, I ain't kicking it.
I ain't reading the Quran all night, man.
But then I was like, yo, let me look at the people in history that they say is conscious. That's like Bob Marley and Stevie Wonder and KRS and Gil Scott-Heron as far as artists and Aretha Franklin, Nina Simone.
Nobody saw it.
Nobody saw it.
Public Enemy was not soft.
If you really think about it, to stand to be a truth teller and speak truth to power,
you can't be
you have to have a different testicular fortitude to do that.
Right.
That's a good choice. I was gonna say that.
You
can't be soft and
Fred Hampton was young as fuck, telling white supremacists and dirty cops to their face, yo, fuck you. We about to, like, when you look at how young he was doing that, he was murdered. They murdered him in his bed.
At 21.
At 21, because he was so, that you can't be. X-Clan didn't come across as soft to me. Public Enemy didn't look soft to me.
None of that.
KRS-One was talking all that good shit, but he was a nigga from
To me, I called it like politically conscious with Chuck D and them, because they were talking about real life issues, like serious, like hardcore shit happening, like police brutality and all that kind of stuff. So that went well with us, because that's what we grew up watching, as kids. So like, when we didn't understand something, why you see a cop who's supposed to protect and serve hitting a citizen, you're like, yo. So all that Public Enemy stuff and X-Clan stuff was needed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Yeah.
Them dudes diss Elvis.
Yeah, I know that. They helped.
Yo, bro.
They gave me perspective on that shit like early.
But Elvis dissed us?
Yeah, no, facts.
Yeah.
Facts. They dissed Elvis and John Wayne.
They said the same verse.
The same verse,
bro.
They tried to come out with an Elvis movie and change history. I was like,
didn't some conscious groups got banned from MTV, and people forget that? Remember? Was it
who got banned? I mean, they just didn't play their shit. I don't know if they got banned. I don't think they did anything.
I know Public Enemy had a lot of issues.
Well, yes,
a lot of issues getting spins.
They did.
Plays,
but and look what's being allowed and look what was being banned.
Look what's being allowed now compared to what was being banned
exactly
in our time.
Like, look at who they banned and who they said couldn't come up here and say nothing no more. Now look what's being allowed to.
Bro, that's how Arsenio got going.
Right.
He had Farrakhan on. The show was going like the next day.
Yo. But he ended it with a bang. Yeah,
I was DJing and playing beats.
That was a moment in my life.
Yeah, Tribe. Who was on?
Everybody. Wu, Tribe, Fushnikins, KRS,
MC Light,
ECL, MC Light, Yo-Yo. Who else, man?
It was crazy.
Shout out to Arsenio.
Yeah, Arsenio.
Talk about getting blackballed.
Yeah.
No other network picked him up. He didn't
and talking about dedicated,
which is nasty.
A night
you
show.
Think about how popular that show.
That show. That's what I was saying.
Crazy. That show was crazy.
That show was shape culture every night.
I swear I didn't miss one. I don't care who he was interviewing.
But that's why it doubles back around to that conspiracy talk. Because if it's about money, look how much he was making. Look how much bread he was generating nightly. He was whooping everybody's ass on that late night shit.
He put us
if
in
it's
the
about
Hotel
money,
Nico. I remember that. Hotel Nico.
If it's about money, how come we haven't seen that since? If it's about money, how come there hasn't been another Lauryn Hill? If it's about money, how come there hasn't been another Fugees type group? If it's about bread, if that's what you're telling me, where are the duplicates of these dudes who have generated hundreds of millions of dollars from one album? Why don't you have another one of those? But I see way more of these everywhere. It's not about bread. It's about something else. And the second we really get a hold of that and really start understanding that, maybe we'll start making other decisions.
But I do have to say, I mean, I agree with some of what you're saying. But I do have to say that, I mean, Lauryn Hill is a special one, man. When you say like, where's the next Lauryn Hill? That woman is like an exceptional. Think of how great she is as a singer and a rapper. She is an incredible MC. And not saying that, and I do think at certain points, you know, when Erykah Badu and everybody, like, they was trying to find some of that. And I say they, not everybody.
Female alliance.
But those people are like unique to what they do. So then you find something, it might not pop as much. And along with, to me, obviously the labels being like, oh, this other stuff popping and it's feeding into what we want to put out there. Right. We wanted to put out there. And ultimately we started consuming that and being like, okay, this is what we gonna do. Like, this is it. Because I do believe, like, at one point it was just like, yo, I gotta be a thug. That's what they, you know, that's what we was on. Like, yo, we gotta be a thug to, but that wasn't all of who we are. You know what I'm saying? But the record labels was like, cool, that's what, this selling and it's putting out an agenda that we want. Yeah.
Were the labels pushing like, okay, if you make this type of music, you gotta dress this way, you gotta go this, this is what your video is supposed to look like, this is who you're supposed to do features with. Was that what was going on? Because I feel like consciousness and neo soul somehow like just meshed together and then kind of dissipated.
You have some magnets. I know what you're trying to say. You have some magnets between the music and genres of what each individual does, you know, almost kind of like the same sound, almost neo soul and consciousness is in the same family or in the same, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same
versus how PE did their music versus how, let me see, who I could say, J. Cole or someone today. Who's really conscious today, though?
Kendrick.
To a certain extent.
Okay. Okay. And Cole. Kendrick and Cole. Like, there's a difference. You know what I'm saying? People are gonna say these two sound similar, and then they're gonna say what you were saying, like, you know, with the old, they're gonna sound similar.
But at one point it was like, brown leathers just started coming out of nowhere. Like, damn, everybody rocking brown leather, bro. Like, what's going on?
Oh my God! I mean,
brown leather and the red lenses.
I can't explain the times, like what certain people.
Wait, is he wearing red lenses?
If you think about,
but you know what I'm talking about. Red.
If you think about like Jackson 5 and Parliament and you know how they was dressing back in it was wild, bro.
Right.
Like, they was wearing some things. You know what I mean?
But I think, you know, I think part of that too was like people, like I said, finding themselves and like deciding to be like, all right, like for me, I'm coming from Chicago. I'm like, I'm taking in everything, and I'm a Chicago nigga. That's just what it is. And so I'm expressing that, but then I start discovering some other things. Like, I get to go to New York, or I got to go to London with De La Soul. I'm like, damn, there's other things out here in the world. And I was already seeking to find you try to find your own individualism as much, you know, like as much as you're part of a culture and a collective and a community, you still like, okay, who am I now? You get to that point. And I think that's what that whole conscious neo soul thing was like, okay, we out here trying to find out who we are and discover things in our ways that we know we've been influenced. Like these people have been, for sure I can speak for me, by Earth, Wind and Fire and the Shaka Khans and the KRS Ones. And so who are we in music in this way, like now? And I think that was part of what we was just exploring and discovering. I think it's necessary, you know, in life that we understand that, man, at certain phases you evolve, you change. Like I used to love, like when Pete came and when I was riding out with Pete out in Mount Vernon, I was probably drinking Heinekens, and you know, like now I like red wine.
Right.
Pete go, he was drinking.
I was drinking 40s.
40. All caps on 40.
So no, but I want to say, like, I think it's just like proud heritage Black people just doing two different styles of music, and just kind of like that with neo soul and conscious rap. You know what I mean?
I feel like everyone has the conscious side.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone has the other side. I think we need to stop blurring the lines.
Yeah.
We need to stop trying to draw a solid line.
Yeah.
Because
I agree with you.
I never seen J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar in the brown leather, but we know what they rap about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He keep this brown leather. He gonna stick to this.
No, at one point, bro, it was decipherable. You could look and see, okay, I know what his album's gonna sound like, and I know what his album's gonna sound like.
So the brown
just by the way he was
an
dressed.
indicator of what was to come.
Right. It was like GTA and hip hop, where you knew like, okay, I'm on Grove Street. Everybody got baggy jeans and scarves on. Yeah. And when I get over to the nice side, they're gonna be dressed different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
True.
You might have only thought that about Common if you didn't really listen to the albums. Like if you check the album, there's records on there about his grandmother calling him, talking about niggas done stole my meet me at the next thing you know.
I know, but then you would see him outside in a knitted sweater. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he might press somebody in that knitted sweater.
But he said it in one of his
I wanted to see that in the video.
But that's the, like, to me, that's the like depths of who we are as people.
Right.
Like what you just said. Everybody, we all got like some of the what you call it, gangster street, and we all got some of the consciousness in it. Especially us that just grew up and it's all right if you lean even one way or another, but to knock the other was the issue. Right. Like the fact that we was knocking, and even to not acknowledge, that's where growth come in. Because at one point you get the knowledge and you get conscious and you're like, oh, I'm all conscious. Right. But then I was able to move back to the middle of who I was, because I was like, man, I could still be about this consciousness, still wearing my koofies, but I'm about to go over here and party with these people over here.
Not only that, I'm about to go have a knife fight with John Wick on the subway. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? This is what I wanted to see in the conscious video. You can still do stuff like this. You know what I mean? Now, when you cross over into acting,
knife fight in the video.
I feel like there was a part of you that was like, all right, I do not want to get typecasted. Like, how many times can I play an assassin? Right. And every time they fed you the role, it was like, oh, this works. Yeah. Right. And then you ended up in John Wick 2. And that was like, you was one of them guys. Like, he was like, yo, I think John about to run into Common again. It's about to get crazy. When y'all was walking through the mall, like, I was like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah, I should have put this in the video.
How you letting that
That's
roll?
what I'm saying. I would love to see that in the video.
How you letting that roll?
Oh man, they hit me up and was like, yo, you familiar with John Wick? And I was like, nah, not really. So my agent was like, you gotta watch John Wick. I watched the first one. I was like, yo, this shit dope. This shit dope. Right. And then I met with the director. He was like, okay, So we think about you for this role. And I just basically was like, listen, if you think about me, I'm the one. Because I'm gonna go as hard as possible. I'm about to take it to the level. Because I think he was trying to see what I'd be as committed. Because to get to that fighting level and like all those stuff, man, it's a lot of training. Like it's like they put us through 4 or 5 months of training before we film a scene.
Wow.
Yeah. So you got to be dedicated to that, like, and committed. And them dudes that do John Wick, Chad and that whole team, they the highest level of action dudes. They came from being stuntmen from Keanu Reeves and Keanu Reeves and all that. So they done a lot of. So they like, listen, if you gonna come rock with us, you got to be at the level. And that's basically, I let them know that I was about it. Yeah. And I was willing to train, start the training. I showed up when I was supposed to. And Keanu is at that level, man. Keanu is
Matrix.
Like, he like gun work, fighting.
gun work.
That nigga is nice. Like,
His instructor was on Joe Rogan and he asked him, what do you do with the flipping the clip? And he was like, I've actually got to give that to Keanu. He came up with ejecting the clip that way and putting another one. Like
crazy.
A lot of things he just
and that's
came
in
up
John
with
Wick
on his own.
2, right?
Say it again?
Yeah, that's in John Wick.
Yeah. No,
so, like
all of them.
Yeah, all through. But that guy specifically was like, who came up with the clip?
Yeah.
And he was like, he did. He came
that
up
dude.
With that.
He comes to
learn it?
Yeah, I mean, I learned the stuff that my character had to do, and just they take you through the basics. So I felt like I learned some shit, So I ain't gonna try to be out on the street trying to do no shit.
If you had to ride the train, and some people came on the train, you good.
I'm good.
Mapping his starting shit. He's like, so you're not gonna go in the subway.
Right.
No, I'm just saying, I'll take the, bro, we can do, me and Common can jump on the A-chain. I know he got it.
We good. We
good.
We good.
I see the work, bro.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Now, this is a character that continued on from Aces. I was thinking, did they take this character and kind of like move him into this movie?
Well, to me, they different characters, but I mean, maybe you viewed it as similar characters because they both was like the heavies in the movies, and they both was fighters. Like my character in Smoking Aces was a bodyguard for Jeremy Piven's character, so like he had to look out. But that was even more just being a bodyguard. We had to show like this relationship, like a friendship.
Right.
Because the movie ended up being like that one scene that I had with him where he betrayed me, it had to mean something,
right.
And that ain't gonna mean nothing if I'm just being a bodyguard, a big dumb mug, So I made sure that my character had the depth and we had the real bond. So when we in that bathroom scene in Smoking Aces and I'm confronting him, it's like a real yo, you betrayed me. Everybody know betrayal, and that was part of what I wanted to bring. What I wanted to bring to that exactly. Now, when you fast forward to John Wick, that dude was there on a mission. He got assigned to do it. Him and John Wick was cool, but he had to handle his business. Right. And people understand that, and that shit was fun though.
Are we gonna get to see you play that character again?
I would love to, man. Somebody just said something to me at the airport, like, why don't they do a spinoff of your character in John Wick too? And I was like,
bro,
I would love that, man. They should do that. But I ain't gonna front. I went to, when they was doing John Wick 3, I'm like, how y'all ain't got my character in here? Because he ain't die. He had the knife and he told him, don't.
He smiled after.
He said, don't pull the knife out as you going. But they ain't write him into the third or the fourth. But who knows, man? I mean, I love the team, and I think a spinoff would be dope, especially a black dude in that type of, because it's universal. John Wick is universal. Everybody like it, but to see that character, a black man out there doing that would be dope.
What does it take for you to get your own movie? Like you and Latifah had a great flick to get, like that Just Right movie was fire.
Yeah.
What does it take to get? At this point, you're established. You got people calling you, hey, we're thinking about you for this role.
Well, movie companies look at it like this. They like, okay, how much, if we cast Common, how much is this gonna sell nationally, but how much is it gonna sell internationally? Mm-hmm. And they looking at your movie numbers. They not looking at your record numbers. They not looking at, like when it comes to leading a movie, because to be honest, sometimes you could be very popular in the music business, but that don't mean that it's gonna translate to movie tickets. So they not like, I mean, they'll cash you like and say, okay, we got such and such in here, but that don't mean necessarily that it's gonna be a big international hit. Like they look at your numbers. They straight look at numbers when they talking about green lighting certain movies, or unless not. And I'm talking about how the studios do it. That's the studio, but the directors, they usually look at like the artists they want to work with.
Talent.
The talent.
Right.
But then, you still got producers and studios being like, yeah, you might like Common, but this dude is gonna bring in more people to the box office.
I feel like they kind of pick and choose, because we look at movies like Get Rich or Die Trying.
Right.
I mean, 50's a much better actor now.
Right.
But at the time, it was like, all right, the hype around
first
this
big movie
is coming from his music. 8 Mile, the hype around this is coming from the music.
That is for sure. That is for sure. But you gotta understand, like, that was a moment for us. Like, think about it, a lot of rappers was getting cast. Like DMX was killing it. God bless his soul. He was lighting it up in the movies. 50 had his movie. Ludacris. Mos Def is a phenomenal actor.
he's great. He's been in some stuff.
But at a certain point, that stuff started. It wasn't as successful. You like, okay, it was a hype around that for a minute, but then eventually it was like, okay, we just casted this popular artist, and it still didn't get our movie to that level. So that kind of died down, and I mean, they call it stunt casting. They still put some popular people in certain stuff. You'll see Bad Bunny in one of those movies, but it ain't like he was in some train movie. I can't remember what it was, but they ain't gonna make him just the star of the movie,
right?
Unless it's something based around something that may be musical for the Latino community. Right. They ain't making him just the star. If you noticed in that movie, they didn't just make him. It was other people there too.
Don't they have to eventually try with somebody? Like,
no,
everybody has to get their first.
I feel like the responsibility is up to. If it's really your passion, you figure out a way.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about like as far you would know.
What
producers like don't. Everybody has to get their first movie sometime.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they do try. I mean,
at the expense of what?
But that's everybody.
But they really counting really on acting skills at that point.
People do get opportunities, but it's usually independent movies. It's usually the early movies. You look at the movie that Mahershala Ali really took him to the next level was Moonlight.
Right.
And that was an independent movie that they only had a little amount of money for, but it became that. Get Out was they spent about $5 million on that movie. That's a small budget for a movie.
Right.
And but that was them being like, okay, we experiment, and look what it became.
Right.
But that's where they take chances. But they don't take a lot of chances on the blockbuster with a new actor or actor that they don't feel is box office. Right. International.
But it only takes the right movie, right actor for a movie to become a blockbuster.
For sure.
Like Get Out.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. That could change your life. Like, I mean, but for real. Like
that happened with Chris Tucker in Friday.
Daniel, the Get Out shit.
Daniel Kaluuya, he was already a brilliant actor. He's amazing. But that Get Out, come on, man, that changed him.
Now.
Will Smith, Independence Day changed him. That and Bad Boys changed his whole life.
But he had to start with was it 8 degrees of separation?
6 degrees.
6 degrees.
6 degrees.
Yeah,
he had to start.
I saw how you threw that in. He had to start with that.
But that's the independent film that where he was kissing on dudes. And
It would make you respect his acting.
Right. But that's why.
Yo, man, that's what they say. That's what they say. Why you looking at me like that? That's what they say, man. That's what they say, bro. I'm not trying to make it sinister. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to make it sinister. I'm just saying. Yo,
with Gene Hackman, that movie he did. I like that.
Enemy of the State.
It was excellent. He was excellent.
Great movie. Gene Hackman was the big star in that.
Man, he got classics. I mean, but by that time, Will was.
He was in it.
Boxing. Like once after Independence Day, it was over. Like they was looking for him to do, and he'd been doing blockbusters
action
ever
movies
since.
ever since.
Ali movie.
Ali. Shit, Pursuit of Happiness, he was cold.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That is all-time favorite.
Man, he was cold in that, bro.
Pursuit of Happiness was independent?
No. I'm just saying movies that he just been in doing.
I'm Legend.
As a single father, that's
crazy.
That movie is like, bro.
Man, they
nobody talking about superhero roles.
There you go, Pete.
No, I mean that was the next question. How hard is it to break into that Marvel world?
Man,
and is that like the dream? Like, yo, I get the Marvel call.
Peter's a man. Heavy on the Marvel. He heavy on the Marvel.
Yeah,
and he's a comic head, like so. But that is a dream call, to be honest, and especially if it's the right character. But you want to be in that universe. That's a lot of people seeing you in something that usually is written good. They putting good actors in it. Yeah. When I saw Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man, I was like, yo, this is like it made me perfect. It was perfect. Yeah. And like you start seeing like super dope actors, Mark Ruffalo, Chadwick Boseman, these guys, God bless his soul.
Rest in peace, Chadwick.
You start seeing, so being in that world, and Pete know, because Pete was like, I remember you got casted, because Pete studied. I got cast to play on the Green Lantern, who was a black, like, superhero. It's different Green Lanterns. Black versus John Stewart.
Yes, John Stewart.
Who I got cast to play that in this Justice League movie. And I literally went down to Australia, tried on the outfit. We doing preparation for shooting the movie. I was supposed to go back in January. It was December. By late December, they was like, it's the writer's strike. We not doing the movie. And then the movie ended up just getting pushed aside. Right. It was, man, I ain't gonna lie, I was tough, because this was like in 2008. And I auditioned my ass off to get this role. And I got it. And my whole team was like, yo, this is when I said a change of life. Right. Yeah, because it's like, then it wasn't only black superheroes at that point. This is before Black Panther. It was like Blade, which was, Wesley, but it wasn't, so they was like, man, you a black dude being a superhero. My team had bought me the fucking Green Lantern dolls. I was about to do it. Right. Man, they pulled that plug, man, I ain't gonna lie. That was one of my biggest drops in the industry when it comes to acting. Because
you was perfect for it.
Man, playing that superhero.
Like, you know what though? That was DC. You're gonna land a Marvel.
Whoa. Come on, let's not shit on DC.
I'm not shitting on DC put out. If they want to spin the block, they got his number. He's wearing green. He's up here. You got it.
I'm just saying, don't mess it up for him.
But what I'm saying is, Marvel.
We're gonna cut that part.
Marvel gonna pull up.
I'm with it.
DC decided they gonna hold off. Marvel gonna pull up.
Marvel there.
We're gonna get the Marvel call. Nick Fury's
It's usually like that anyway. It's usually like that anyway.
Now you mentioned Robert Downey. Playing Iron Man. How odd is it to find out that Terrence Howard was Iron Man this whole time?
Oh yeah, Terrence Howard had a role in that movie.
Rhodey.
Yeah, he was War Machine.
Yeah.
Colonel Rhodes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes like personalities, whatever, some didn't work out, because that's when they cast Don Cheadle, right?
No, it was the money. They came back. He said that his agent had an emotional response to a proposal, and that's what kind of.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that.
But I don't know if you watched his Joe Rogan.
I did
podcast.
I saw the story.
What was he saying?
No, he's actually Tony Stark's, bro. This whole time, Terrence Howard is Tony Stark's. Really? He's changing mathematics for the world, the universe.
Oh, you mean real in real life?
His inventions, all that stuff. Yes. I'm like, whoa, this whole time I didn't know.
Think he's crazy, but he's actually intelligent.
He's brilliant.
Very intelligent.
Yeah, brilliant.
He's a brilliant. That's a brilliant.
Brilliant dude. And he an incredible actor, man. When I used to see him in fucking Dead Presidents, like little roles he did, he light that shit up, man.
He made you not like him.
That was filmed in Mount Vernon too.
Say it again?
That was filmed in Mount Vernon.
Dead Presidents.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So we're gonna take a 5-minute break.
When I had to beef with Dolph.
This
Say it again.
stupid.
Like when me and Dolph had the little situation, it was like 100,000 dolphins in my comments. with his fans is hitting dolphins. I was like, what the fuck? I'm being attacked by dolphins. off on my Instagram,
Right.
but I didn't realize his fans was like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, niggas could do no
So
wrong.
I think people forget that fan is short for fanatic. You
A
know?
fanatic could kill you too.
Yeah, do
bro.
forget that.
Fanatic could take your life. A real fanatic
That's
will
why
kill
when
you.
everybody, whenever I've heard, not often, but whenever somebody says, "Yo, I'm a fan of the show," I always say, "You're a supporter. You're not a fan.
Right.
You're a supporter. You're
supporter
supporting
of
the
the
show.
show.
You don't need to be a fan of anything.
Yeah,
You can be a supporter."
Right.
So hit that like, hit that share. You know? Rest in peace, Young Dolph, though. I don't want to say that.
No, man.
The Peach, IG was ground central for people calling you a hater.
You know
for a
why?
long
You know
time.
what it was? It was just, I didn't realize, that the world's so sensitive with opinions and going at youngins and critiquing their music and stuff. I had to learn too.
What did you learn?
I learned to let people be. Leave them alone. If you want to do something, help them, learn. You know what I'm saying? But I'm thinking they're using their ears to learn from me. But maybe I have to take a couple extra steps to, teach.
Okay, so in teaching, who are the young artists that you guys would open up the door for? Like, come on in, let's work on something together.
There's so many, bro. That's not signed, that's unsigned, that are dope, talented people.
Right.
I mean, I like being around people like that. If you say known folks, not as much as like unsigned hype or whatever.
Right.
For me.
Remember that kid Henny Savant I mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
Henny. He's dope. He's like self-made. He does everything though.
Mm-hmm.
Music, he raps,
He's
writes
a beast.
his own shit.
Right.
Just a beast, worker. And
You got a guy sitting next to you.
I know,
who
so I'm
does
about
that
to
too.
say,
No. I'm. He mentioned him. That's why
I did.
Right.
he's with me for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So I figure I ain't really have to say much to y'all. But,
Right.
but
We
to the
already
world,
know.
I got this man right here, who's representing True Soul, and we got an album done, artwork done, everything done, and we making a play to drop it later this year.
All right, dope. Comment. Who's the guys you would like?
Man, she already out, but this is a girl named No Name. She from Chicago.
Oh, she's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, she's
I'll
dope.
get
I
some
mess
in.
with her, man.
Yeah.
She be like,
That's on the one on out.
she
on.
no, that's not. Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
She
you
had a
talking
little
about.
back and forth with J. Cole for a second.
Okay.
Yeah,
She's
she
fire.
raw, man. She raw.
Yeah.
I messed with her. She's somebody. And then, man, actually, I got, a nephew because my father had many kids. My father,
Right.
So my sister has a son he really dope. I'm thinking about messing with him on something. His name's Jordan, but he can rhyme. But as far as people, y'all know, like No Name is one of the people that I'll be like, man, I love rocking with her. Like she dope. I did a festival. She had this block party in Chicago, and I was like, yo, she just had it, at the crib on like not far from where we grew up, and she just had it for the community. That's why I rock with her. She speak her mind too. She don't hold back.
Right.
But I love people to speak their minds.
Mhm.
Sometimes I be admiring them.
Right.
Beat speak his mind like.
But you know what? I'll be making me feel guilty because I can't
No,
say the
it's
truth.
different. You gotta remember, you can speak your mind, but
Yeah.
when you speak it publicly,
Yeah.
you might be affecting someone else's bottom line.
Right. That's what I had to learn.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of affecting bottom lines,
You're like, Pete, be yourself, bro.
speaking of affecting bottom lines, another
You with me?
another
You with me?
Chicago rapper said, "Play J. Cole and get the pussy dry." So I'm guessing on this album that you're about to drop, being that you are regarded a conscious rapper, we are gonna get this side.
I'm still conscious.
Yeah, I don't know if you're conscious after this.
We gotta give everybody
after the shootout with John Wick.
We gotta give everybody.
But okay, being an artist, regarded as
Nah.
No, I get it. I'll take it, man. Like I said,
I'm still
are we gonna get to see that side like go again on the record?
yeah, I think this album that Pete and I got, it's called The Auditorium Volume 1. It's like, man, I feel like his music made me go to what I do in hip hop, like what I am as an MC. And that's going to some of the rawest places, some of the most conscious places. Like, I always feel like I owe that to myself. Even when my niggas laughed at me for being like, oh, you wearing the crochet and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yo, I still was like, yo, this is me. And like, you know, I'm gonna come around y'all talk shit. Y'all talk shit about me. It's all good. You know? I ain't gonna leave you in no fight or nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm still me, but I'm just wearing these crochet pants. But you know, I took them off, and then. But my point is, I'm in a place where I'm feeling the hip hop, and I'm in tune with the people, man. And I feel like I'm always trying to MC from a God perspective. You know, like I believe, you know, the Creator come through us in the music. Yes, I MC from a place of loving hip hop culture, and I MC from a place of loving the people. Right. So I think Pete's Beats took me right back to that. So, you know, because I can go space out on some other shit if I'm rapping to other type of music. And I like that music. I ain't never dissing some of that stuff. But when I'm at home on some soulful ass, like boom bap, but fresh sounding music, I'm going to go to what you saying, where I'm going to give you these different aspects of who I am.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty versatile album. You know, we have the... people get it twisted when we say we're going after the 90s sound. Nah, I already got that locked down. We're going for the aura of what the 90s were. If you heard a beat or a song that you remember from the 90s, when you hear his new record, and it brings you back to that. Right. You know, that thought of, you know, maybe, I don't know if you guys hung out in Harlem in the 90s, when Willie Burgers was still here and all that stuff, but at late night, you know, you see everybody gathered at S&S, the gambling spot. You know, those kind of people was playing their music loud in their whips. So.
Right.
Where did the concept auditorium come from?
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things where, for me, you know, I just love titles, right? Like, I love titles. So sometimes I'll think of a title before I even, like, have the concept to it. It'd just be like, okay, like, B. The album B, I just named it B because that was about just being present, me being myself. It started to fit more the album as we made it. The auditorium for me was like this, I thought about it because I was like, man, that's the place where I first started hearing and performing music, like and like being a part of performances. And I felt like what Pete and I was doing was bringing people to a place where we give our music. Like, we want y'all to come to our space of what this music is, and like, we welcoming everybody, but it's no just like one, like what Pete said about, like, man, we just carrying the spirit of some of the 90s in a way that's like, it's the spirit of just putting that love into the music and that work into the music. He took time with these beats. I took time with these rhymes, and we got these choruses and scratches, and it's production, it's songs. Right. And we took time with that. So in that auditorium, we're gonna give you that real true art form at the auditorium. It's in this volume 1. Right. That's, you know,
you'll have at least, I'll say just at least 1 or 2 that you're gonna really love.
Now this is coming out on Killer Mike's label, correct?
Yeah, Loma Vista, the same label that Killer Mike came out. It's part of the Concord Music Group, but but ultimately, it's the same label that Killer Mike put his project out. Yeah.
Because you could have went anywhere.
Yeah, but well, I did some projects with them before, and they for me, always allowed me to be the artist. And then they got super excited when I was like, yo, I'm working with Pete Rock. They was like, well, let us hear this. And they heard it and was like, yo, this is better than what we thought. Like no disrespect. They was like, this is more than what we knew we could get. This is, the president of the label was like, yo, this is some really good music. Like, I feel, I'm gonna say this and I'm just saying it truthfully, like, I feel that we've created an album that will be timeless and that has the potential to be timeless and can be, like, I've had people who listen to it be like, man, this is definitely one of your best albums, like, for me, like, that one of my best albums. And I was like, damn, you saying that, like, I'm talking to artists like Questlove or you know, who's like, yo, this is one of your best albums, bro. And I'm like, damn, you've been participating on some of these albums and you really feel like this is one of my best. So it feels good to get that type of energy. That's
feels good to hear that.
To hear that. It's about the energy, like of the music, like whatever. When we talked about earlier, like whatever you classify the music, man, we all know when music hit us, like we know it, and it is up to the person. But I feel like we wanted to create something that we felt like was like, man, this is what we want to put out there.
Right. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it.
Yeah,
definitely. I'll say this.
Press play.
And I know
big
for
ass
guys
speaker
like
in the back.
I said what I heard when they was mastering the joint. I told him to his face. I told him, I said, I ain't hear nobody take a verse off. I ain't hear nobody take a beat off.
Bro, you twisting the knife right now, man.
I'm just telling you what it is. I'm telling you what
What's
I heard.
the features? What's
Just
the
making
features,
it worse.
Man,
Features.
Pasta
From De La Soul.
Soul.
Not many. Bilal
and this sister named PJ. She's super dope.
She dope.
Like artist and writer. Jennifer Hudson on there.
Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah. So
What?
So
Stop, man.
Yeah, she's on there. Shout out to Jennifer.
Yeah, she blessed the joint, and man, the album is. It wasn't to be real. I was initially like, Pete, man, I ain't gonna have no features because I'm gonna do it like Rakim.
You don't need them.
Like MCs, I know, like certain MCs, man, they ain't even have no features.
Yeah.
They just would just deliver.
Facts.
Like
Go in.
when you look at some of the
Cole
great.
Bailey does features.
Yeah.
No, on his album.
Huh?
Yeah,
On his
that's
album.
what that was. But that's what we
Yeah.
talking
Well,
about.
Yeah, that's
all that feature stuff came from like things I was involved in. Putting out compilation album,
Godfather
featuring
in
all
the
kind of
remix.
different motherfuckers on there.
I mean, which is dope, but once we start hitting the zone, I start thinking about the albums that I always loved, and they just created a sound, whether it's P-Rock and CL or Tribe or or shit. I love the Far Side album. That shit was dope. Bizarre Rider, Far Side, Slum Village. Like Ye would create a sound, and for me, I'm like, man, we got a sound.
Yeah,
we developed a sound.
Yeah.
Like Pete was already Pete Rock, one of the greatest to ever do it. I'm an MC. Like when I want to MC, I'm there.
Yes.
And he gave me these.
Also
beats.
one of the greatest to ever do it.
And he's
not
fast.
gonna let you slide
Give him
past
a beat, he gives it back to you in an hour or two.
But
Later.
But I'm like, man, we actually got a sound, and I'm like, this feel fresh. It don't feel like, because people are like, oh, I know y'all doing some throwback. Nah, it ain't really throwback. It's really what you feel two grown men who've come through hip hop and this music, just music, what we can give in the purest way right now. And like Pete said, I hope people dig it.
Well, I gotta ask, boom bap, even though we might not hear it on the radios in the States anymore, why do you think it's still so appealing to the rest of the world? Because there's artists that be hot in New York City, hottest thing smoking, but they can't do a world tour like.
I don't think you'll ever stop hearing boom bap ever, because it's made such a heavy impact on individuals that were involved in the music thing, and it takes you back to people who were behind the scenes who noticed that kids got something and want to start something like hip hop. I'm telling you, man, that boom bap changed my life. Like from listening to Howie T, Marley Marl, and Rick Rubin, and Larry Smith, and several Mantronics, several other producers, that did this to us, actually. Right. I mean, from listening to all that is why I am who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's, for me, is important.
Yeah, like what Pete, man, if we think about it, man, I be thinking about, okay, what as Black people that we know that we have created some great things. But Black and Latino people created this culture of hip hop that is us. Yeah. And as much as the man has put his hands on it and diluted it in certain ways, it's still unstoppable. It's an unstoppable force that no matter how commercial artists get and blah, 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 it's still something about us being in the barbershop, us being here, like talking, there's hip hop.
Yep.
And like when you go over to like the spots you're talking about, or somebody listening to music, there's hip hop, or the way and you can't stop that force. It's like I say, God is in it, man. So it's like you can't stop God. So like hip hop, the boom bap got that spirit to it. So you're not gonna be able to stop it. And you can go to different parts of the world and it still exists because it's pure. Like as much as, you know, we got these different branches of hip hop that I'm like, cool, that's all part of it too. But boom bap is something that's so pure. You can go to Japan and they wearing Dilla Loves Japan shirts because he created something that's pure, huh?
No, I was gonna say, go ahead, you finish.
No, he created something so pure from that, and that's boom bap. Like even if you chopping up and messing with a snare in a certain way, it's boom bap because it's the approach that he taking and the feel of the music. And I think, you know, man, I was this last thing, and I'll jump in, but I was just at this breakdance thing. These cats was breakdancing. And man, I was sitting there like, damn, these people still like enjoy the art form that they breakdancing. They ain't making no money.
You was breakdancing too, man.
I got another level. I had my little windmill. But these dudes and women. But it made me see like, yo, this culture will never die.
Where was it?
It was the Red Bull thing in Seattle. In Seattle,
I told you.
And it's people like they dedicated to this.
Yeah.
They ain't making a living doing it, but they still love the art. And the music they was playing, I was like, damn, this is some good ass music. And I was like, man, hip hop is still alive, bro. Yeah. Hip hop is still alive. No, you will not destroy hip hop because it's us. Yeah. And it's like, when I seen that thing in Yankee Stadium and I sat there and watched all those artists perform for 5.5 hours, I watched them. Yeah. I said, man, hip hop is alive. I'm playing old P Rock music, and now I'm rapping over new P Rock music. But I'm playing old P Rock music, P Rock and CL music that, man, when I'm riding around, that shit feel fresh now. Right. That hip hop is alive, bro. Right. Like, and when my homies hit me up like, yo, that new Wise Up, now I'm fucking with that. Yo, that's cold. That's what I need to hear from you. Yeah. I'm like, hip hop is alive. Yeah. So that's what, you know, just give me that oomph.
Yeah. When you mentioned Japan, I was just like, over there it's different. They really, really, really love the culture, from graffiti to breakdancing to beat making to DJing. I mean, everything. The only thing I don't understand the language when they rap in Japanese, but their heart is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. When I see that, it gives me inspiration.
Yeah. All right, before we get up out of here, I wanted to ask you this. You know, me being someone who's, you know, we've been doing the show for a minute, and my celebrity status is starting to grow, and certain opportunities are presenting themselves. I wanted to ask you to give me some tips on how to date. Women as celebrities. It's over. I didn't say it, you know what I'm saying? I said, all right. You know what I mean?
Got that. Yeah. Word, man.
Everybody get your mini pads out.
You don't put the type out there.
Tell them you gotta be conscious.
That's it.
They gotta wise up.
You got a nice little catalog, man.
Hey man, I mean, I just was being myself. I was being myself. I ain't like, and it wasn't like I'm just like, yo, let me go pick this or that pick. I'm just, you know, we in the environment of, like, I ain't meeting just women everywhere. So like, it's like I'm in an environment where I'm meeting people, and you know, every woman that you would name, I respect, and we'd have had like, you know, a respectful thing. So I ain't gonna never put nobody out there bad. But that being said, you know, I was just being me. You be you. You gonna get it. Be yourself, bro.
Coming in P-Rock. Auditorium is coming soon. Go pick that up.
AKA the Bell.
It's Hoffa. Trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rapper.